Let's begin. Okay, so what you'll need is go ahead and print out your 2 pattern sheets. You're going to need scissors, some painter's tape with, not so sticky attack. That way you can easily remove it from your pattern. You don't want to ruin the pattern after you do your mock-up phase, because there is a mock-up phase to this. So I like to use painter's tape that isn't terribly sticky as far as its tackiness. So you'll need painter's tape, and then a Phillips head screwdriver. Okay. You'll need to get a punch. You can usually pick these up at tool stores like Harbor Freight, or I'm sure Amazon has some. They're usually pretty cheap and come in different sizes, but you'll need one that can punch about a 4mm hole, because you will also need to get some Chicago screws, and you'll need forgive me, you'll need a 5mm punch, because that's the size that you'll need to punch for these Chicago screws. But I will provide links to these items, the Chicago screws, a link to a set of punches, as well as you also need a polyhead maul is going to be your best bet, because you don't want to use metal hammer against metal, because that can cause problems. That it can cause chips of metal over time. Just not good to use metal tools with without using a poly maul. You'll want to use a non-metallic maul. Wood maul will work fine, a wood mallet, but I like to use a polyhead maul. You will also need something to punch through your leather. You can use anything like a cutting board or a piece of wood or a rubber mat, just so that you don't damage the tool when you go to punch through your material. So besides these, you will need your material as well. I use a nice sturdy leather that doesn't really have much of a pull to it, much stretch. You want to use something the same consistency. It's not terribly thick, but it is a very rigid as far as non-stretchy leather. I wouldn't say rigid, it's still got supple quality to it, but you don't want your leather to stretch, because over time it will make your headpiece fit incorrectly. So go with a leather that doesn't have any stretch to it, but has a nice suppleness to it, okay? And on these patterns, whenever I'm referring to the top or the bottom side of the leather, rough or smooth side, this is what I mean. Whenever you go to actually trace your pattern, you'll want to trace it out with a pin, the outline of it on the rough side of the leather. So that way, even if you go to cut it, you might still have a bit of ink that won't show up on the smooth side. And then I also have here a designation to attach your Velcro, one side of your Velcro to the smooth side, so you'd be attaching it on the top side, okay? Okay, to get started, we're gonna cut this out. Cut out your pattern. Go ahead and cut it out on the furthest line. The thickest line is the size that I went with when I created my headpiece, but I gave this extra bit just so that you have more to work with and you can size it down as needed. So go ahead and cut out your patterns. Now, if you have 4-speed like I do, go ahead and use it. I think it's an ethical use, but, use what you have. All right, so now we have our patterns all cut out. Let's move on to the next step. I did go ahead and grab the cutting board per se. This is basically a piece of rubber, a rubber mat, but like I said, you want to protect both the punch tool, because it's got a cutting surface here, but you also want to protect the surface that you're going to be punching into. So I have this here. Place your material in between. And let's get to punching out these holes. Okay. There you go. Okay, now we're gonna tape together our mock-up pieces. You can go ahead and set this aside for now. And this represents the actual 3D print piece. This is to help you line up in a later step, so we'll get back to this. Go ahead and set that aside for now. Get your tape, and we're gonna start by attaching the back together in 3 parts. So go ahead and pull a strip of tape here. And so that it's easier to remove, I'm going to fold the edges over. So I have something to actually peel up off of the pieces once I'm done. So go ahead and get yourself a little fold there so that you have a little tab on either side. Okay. Line up the stitching line here on your Velcro tab. Line up the stitching line right there. And you can use the light to help you, but I'm gonna go ahead and get that lined up now. Okay. And use your tape to hold it in place. Okay. Go ahead and get another piece of tape. And same thing, if you need to tear it straighter so that way it's easier to make your tab, go ahead and do so. Now we have straighter edges, and we're going to fold over to make our tabs in the tape. Okay, got one tab there, and then we're going to fold over the other side. Okay, so now we have our little pull tabs. And what you're gonna need to do is line up this with this guy. And yes, these panels will overlap slightly, but that's okay, it's meant to. So go ahead and line those up. And like I said, if you need to hold it up and use the light through the paper, you probably can't see what I'm doing. Let me set that tape down. So I'm using the light from outside, there we go. It is lined up. Okay, and we're going to tape that down, like so. All right, cool. So now we're ready for the next step. Okay, now to find your fit, basically what you're going to do, you might need an assistant for this. I had to do this on my own because I live on Sulon, and there's not really many people that live around me. It's a more sparsely populated homeworld of mine. But anyways, you will probably need an assistant. I have this glass head that I'm going to use to demonstrate. But either way, no matter how you're doing this, you want to make sure that you are wearing your leku, your head tails, while you do this so that you get the most accurate measurement. So what you're gonna do, I did make a couple of tape tabs prepared. Something I forgot to mention that you'll need in your tools and materials is a simple measuring tape for sewing. You know, you need that stretchiness, and this is about the width of the band that's going across your head. That's what we're measuring for. So you'll need to get yourself a measuring tape as well. Forgive me for not having pointed that out before, but I will have that in the tools and materials list to go with this tutorial. So what you'll need to do, since I don't have an assistant, I don't have anyone here to help me, I'm gonna go ahead and just tape this on. This is for me since I'm doing this solo, Han Solo, but you basically want to start at the base of the neck with the pattern. and line it up so that both of these sides are going to be even on either side of the head of whoever this is going to be made for. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape this down so that I don't have to hold it on. You probably won't need to do this if you have a friend helping, but this is just to help me out. Okay, so you want to line it up where it will, like I said, sit at the base of the neck. Okay, because this is the part that's going to cover your hairline and whatnot, as well as your ears and lower cheeks. And this is where you can get an idea of whether or not you're going to need to trim it down or not, trim it back, however you need to. So there you go. And what we're going to do now is you will need at least one piece of tape tab to tape one end of your seamstress tape to one side. And where you're going to tape it, we'll do it on the left side, is I have these two holes on the pattern, okay? We're going by this hole right here. So we're going to put the edge of your tape on the center line of that hole, okay? So line it up with the center line of that hole, okay? And as far as the angle, make sure that the edge is going to match that line on your pattern when you tape it, because it needs to go at a specific angle. Okay, so let me go ahead and do that here. There we go. Okay, so now this is where we're checking our fit. This is going to go across the forehead, okay? And this is effective to also hold on if you have a headscarf or any kind of cloth covering here to cover the seam of your Leku headpiece. So whatever you have here, this will be the top layer when you go to put this all on. So this, if you have any of that, go ahead and make sure, forgive me, you should have that on as well. Just so that you have your accurate measurement. But we're going to go ahead and pretend that we have that on there already. Line it across the forehead, and then we get our measurement. It's going to be 8 inches. We're lining up that line with the center hole on the other side, basically. So as you can see, it lines up to 8 inches. And there you go. Go ahead and jot that down, that our head strap is going to be 8 inches. Yours might be different. It obviously will, because every Twi'lek has different head size. So go ahead and jot down the size that you measured for, and we'll move on to the next step. All right, now that we have gotten our fit for the head strap, as you can see, this is the original headpiece. I went ahead and disassembled parts of it just so that I can show you for this demonstration. And it is a little bit more rough looking because I've worn it many a time, as well as it was the first, so I didn't have a pattern to go by. I just kind of roughed it. But as far as your strap goes, you want to cut about 1 centimeter thick, 1 centimeter wide strap. We measured 8 inches. Go ahead and add about 1 inch to that and cut out your strap. Reason why you want to add 1 inch is because we only measured to the center line of the hole. You want to add a little bit extra leather. That way, yeah, you can trim it afterwards, but you're going to need it to actually go past the opening for the Chicago screws. So go ahead and give yourself that allowance of an extra inch on your measurement and cut out your strap. Also cut out all your other leather components. I already have mine cut, obviously, but you're going to punch out your holes. If you need to, use a needle to score where your stitching lines are going to be, as well as where your you can use a pen to mark where your holes are going to need to be punched. But once you've got all that cut out, like I said, for the strap, you want to make sure that you have your 8 inches or whatever your measurement is centered, and then go ahead and punch your holes right in over the center mark where you've marked the ends of your measurement. So like I said, mine was 8 inches. My mark would be here in the center. Therefore, I line up my punch and bam, punch it out. And then you can trim off whatever excess. Just don't trim off too much. You need it to be able to hang on. So we have our strap cut out. We have all our components cut out. So as far as assembly goes, if you notice, like I said, this should be the bottom rough side of the leather. So for the left side. So this is the left side. And as I stated, when you go to trace your pattern, this will be for the left side, but you need to make sure that the rough side is facing you when you go to trace and mark your holes and punch them and everything. What might make it easier for the stitching lines is if you just make a little slot cut right there and you just take your pin and draw the line. That way you know where to stitch, whichever is going to help you best to line those pieces up where you need them. But you're going to need to assemble it as such, so that this would be the rough side of the leather. This would be the top side, smooth side of the leather, as you see here. So your Velcro panel is going to be on top when you're looking at it from the proper angle, the proper side, so the smooth side out. Gotta love the really clean stitch lines I have there. But enough of the self-mockery. Go ahead and stitch in your panels as well as your Velcro. I like to use the soft side on the left panel because when you go to close it, if you have any hair sticking out, this won't catch it when you go to try and figure out where you need to close it. It doesn't have the hook side of the Velcro. So use the soft side on the left side of the panel and you'll be good to go. Go ahead and punch your holes and everything you need. So that's the left side. The right side, I already have some pieces attached, but as you can see, you have your marking for the Velcro. An easy way to mark this on the other side so you know where to actually put it is do an incomplete cut there, cut there, cut there, cut there, so that way you can draw your lines with your pen, because you are going to be drawing, same with the stitching lines, that part of the pattern on the soft side, the smooth side of the leather, so that you can actually see where you're going to stitch your pieces on. So make your little pin slots. Don't cut all the way to the corners. That way you have a slot to draw the pattern position for your hook side of the Velcro, which on the right side, you'll want the hook side. And you can make this somewhat adjustable if you put a longer area of the hook side of Velcro, so that way when you go to put it on, if you need it to be any adjustment, bigger or smaller, you have that playroom. I just did this exact to the size that I needed it, but on this side specifically, you don't have to worry so much about this side. You can put a bit more of the Velcro, so you can take strips and put them this way, however fit suits you, but I didn't want the Velcro to be visible when I'm wearing it. Therefore, I did it simply like that. But like I said, if you want the adjustment, the option's there. Another thing you can do is on the back side, you can do a panel of, instead of doing Velcro, you can do straps. If you're that savvy with leather and the material and you feel you're up for it, do straps instead. Just make sure that you use a non-stretchy leather. That way it doesn't give way over time and ruin the piece. So go ahead and get all your pieces cut out of leather, stitch on your Velcro. Let me put these aside. Okay, and next up, after you have printed, I included the STL files, the print files for your ear caps. After you've printed them, cleaned them up, and painted them however you want, they do have a dome so that you have a bit of clearance for where your ears are going to go. But that is where our printed pattern is going to come in, so that you can position where you need to put your Chicago screws. So line up your printed pattern with your 3D printed file, and then you can use something like a silver Sharpie or something sharp to punch into and make your mark however you feel will make the mark visible. But you're basically going to use these holes to line up where your Chicago screws will go. So you have your positioning dots. And the way you attach these, the way I have done so, let me grab the other Chicago screw here, is that, like I said, a Chicago screw comes in two parts. So you have your socket with the dome, like so, okay? And it's got the inner threaded socket, as well as you have your screw, okay? So this is the Phillips screw piece. We're gonna set that aside. You'll need some JB Weld. Forgive me, that's another thing I forgot that you'll need in your materials list is JB Weld. I like to use the quick set, but whatever suits you. It's not gonna be pretty and clean. It doesn't need to be because it's gonna be covered. This is to give you an idea of mine. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the flat dome side of your Chicago screw, the socket dome side, and you're gonna JB Weld it wherever you put those marks, okay? So I have one there and I have one there. So those are JB welded in. Let that set and cure. You know, set it aside, do your other one. And once you have those cured, you're good to go. So keep in mind, there is a left and right side for the ear caps, and they are labeled as far as the file goes, but this one is the left side one. The way these wear is, there is a little cutout shape here. That is going to be on the top quadrant of whichever side is going on. So that tells us that this is the left side because it's in the top quadrant there. This is where your face will be. This is back of head. So this is the left side one. If you ever forget and you need to figure that out, is this little cutout shape here is going to be on the top. So if it was like this, you know that that would be wrong, okay, for either side. So they are mirrored. So this is upside down right now, as you can see, but this is the right side, okay? Once your Chicago screws are cured, you're going to take your proper side piece, so left side, and just line them up with the holes that you've already punched and push those in. There you go. And you screw them in. Make sure I got this set right. There we go. Okay, and then the next one, go and secure that. Okay. If you look, I forgot. Let me go ahead and undo this one. So if you notice on the right side piece, the strap is attached there on the outermost Chicago screw. So you want to be sure to attach your strap. Don't forget like I did. I'm a dummy. Okay, so that is where I will take this, push that in there, okay, and now we're going to screw that in. And there you go. See? So we have it all together. Let's do a quick test fit. Like I said, this was made for Laz, the wily fellow. Let's see, I don't have him here right now, so I can't actually fit this to his head and show you, but we're gonna show you with this guy. So anytime you go to put it on, make sure you have all your head coverings on, you have your leku on. If you have a headscarf or whatever kind of piece of cloth, and you're just gonna put it, the easiest way to do it is lay that strap across the front, align these on your ears, and there you go. And like I said, this is way bigger, but there you go. you have a finished Twi'lek ear cap headpiece. That's a long name for calling it a headpiece. Like I said, full tools and materials, links and lists will be in the files and also in the description. I will include the patterns as well as the STL files so that you can print your own and make your own. Any that you create or you know, share with a friend so that they can make their own, please share a photo of the finished costume with me. I'd love to see and share and tag you guys. But that's all for today. Thank you for following along and have safe travels there off-world. Bye, everyone.